There's no intro to this show. I just start talking. It's not like, like I know you guys have maybe heard some of, or you've been on or heard some of my other stuff where there's like intros. I made this show because there's no rules anymore. So I did this during the pandemic.
That's fair.
I realized like I've been doing it for years, and I didn't have a show where I can just talk to people. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? I can't just talk to people? Why would I always have to be talking about a movie? So yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. You want? Can you introduce yourself just briefly? Becky first. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Becky. Becky Hackerman. I live here in Baltimore. I was on a podcast with both of these people for a very brief period of time. Yeah.
Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Flash, formerly of Baltimore, formerly of podcasts, formerly cool.
Oh, stop.
Now just old and tired.
That's
We're
everybody,
all
though.
old and
Every
tired
single
now.
one of us, yeah.
So so to explain to you guys this further, I think I did a little bit. Do you know when you break up with somebody and then you go through like a crisis where you have to like talk to all your old, partners to figure out what went wrong? Kind of thing.
I know what you're talking about.
Or like that movie trope that people do like that. So I kind of am doing that kind of just for content, but also because like during the pandemic, I was like, what the hell? Why am I podcasting anymore? Like I stopped 2020. I just didn't I held off all the shows. We haven't even started bonus this again. So I'm kind of like, I had the idea. I kind of wanted to get everyone I used to be on a mic with again one more time to talk about it a little bit. So that's what this is. That's
really
what this
cute.
weird. That's what this weird thing is. I already did it with Mound of Thunder. I'm gonna do a bonus disc one. I'll do an Albs one. Just stuff that I was on, and we'll talk about it. So yeah, basically now slaying. It lasted. Yeah. It was an offshoot of Sarah's podcast, which was Instant Screaming, which that lasted for how long, Sarah? Do you remember?
Oh, Jesus.
That was around for a while.
That was around for a few
years.
Yeah.
It won the Baltimore's Best
of
Podcast.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yes. Primarily because Justin Gecka has so many friends. I think. Like, I don't really know how earned it was. It was earned. We did it.
I mean, I don't want to.
We cared about it before caring about it was cool.
Right. You definitely put effort into it, and it was a thing. It was an established thing for a good while.
That is true. Oh my God. Why do you want... Oh, sorry. I'm trying to check on Facebook when that started, and it's trying to get it to connect WhatsApp.
Oh, God, no.
I know.
Well, either way, so me and Becky were not... I guessed it on there. I don't know if you did.
You were our second or third ever guest, actually.
Yeah. Oh, I was on one episode too.
Yeah,
I guessed it. Yeah.
The whole the format was that Justin Gecka and I would find two movies that were streaming online, and that were connected by some tertiary theme. Like for Bob, I think it was possessions, maybe, or ghosts.
It was Deborah Logan and something else. The Dybbuk box one.
The Dybbuk box one, the possession.
Yeah.
And then we would talk about these movies and we would rate them. And it was pretty much just like, it started because Justin and I both just spent all of our time watching shitty streaming horror movies. Like it was our, it was just what we did in our spare time. So we figured, why not sort of commoditize it, make it a commodity.
You guys were kind of ahead of the curve. I bet there's so many streaming specific service podcasts now. Yeah.
I do. It was a format that had a lot of potential for sure. And I do think it was pretty innovative. Somebody tried to steal our name and kind of our bit.
I remember that. Yeah. It's a good name. It's such a good name.
Such a good name. And we maybe threatened their lives, not for realsies, but we did maybe threaten to sue. Yeah. We were very mad about it.
Well, I think it was ahead of its time. At least it was early.
You.
I mean, I think when I started podcasting, I was like, that's when podcasting was a complete joke. Now I don't think it is anymore. I think like famous people like famous people have their own podcast now. You know what I mean? Like it's not a joke anymore. But yeah, like it was definitely innovative. So we were the offshoot of Instant Screaming. Because like you like kind of I think you were at some point you decided like you wanted to have maybe a few horror shows or something on there. I remember you telling me that. And like that was the first attempt at it.
I'm like a good ideas person. Like I have very many podcast ideas. Another one I wanted to do was the Midnight Society, which was like a Gilmore Guys-esque rewatching of all of the Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes. That was going to be my next project. And then more recently, I really want to do this one. I have had the idea to do a podcast called Whatever It Takes, where I make Alex watch all of Degrassi.
Oh,
and I grill his opinions.
Do it.
Wait, didn't you also have Kangaroo Jack Court? You were talking about doing that?
Yeah, that might have been Matt Casella.
Maybe.
Do you just watch Kangaroo Jack every week? Is that what
No, it's like somebody has to like defend a movie or something, like defend a movie.
Oh, okay.
Kangaroo Jack Court. Yeah. I don't remember whose original idea that was, but that was also a really good idea. Like I said, I'm really good at the like, I have a nugget, like there's a seed, but maybe not as good on the follow through.
And honestly, I'm like, as far as this midlife crisis of podcasting goes, I'm like, that's really what matters is the follow through. I was like, the only thing that matters with podcasts is doing them. Sometimes it's not if they're even that good. It's like, you just got to keep doing them because most people stop. I mean, that's why we're here, right? Like most people stop because keeping a schedule, keeping the faith, wanting to continue at all. Doing anything creative is always the killer. Yeah. So that's all that matters. But either way, you had us do the offshoot, and I really enjoyed doing that podcast. That's one thing I want to say. I really did. You know why? Because we did it at your place. That place. What was that place we recorded it at? It was like where your band practiced.
It was
it's our practice space.
Yeah, the Queen Wolf Infinite Pizza practice space.
Right. Yeah. I liked how we had that because like I was used to doing everything at my house. Yeah. You know, that was my whole experience with podcasting is Bob's house. And I like the fact that every like what was it like second Saturday or something like we would go to that place and all hang out like there for most of the day. You know, it was a nice little getaway. And I didn't have to do anything. I just had to speak into a mic. You know, I wasn't in charge of anything. So I really enjoyed that.
About dumb shit.
Yeah, right? And, I mean, like, you guys have, what are your fond, I guess what I'm asking for both of you is, what are your fond memories of Now Slang?
You could go first, Becky.
I was going to say, like, my favorite part of all of the episodes was at the end when we would, like, pitch ideas for a better version of the movie at each other because, like, just trying to, like, I at least felt like it was, like, how hard can I make them laugh? Like, how dumb can I make this? And it's still kind of a silly, dumb idea. A silly, like, good, dumb idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved like sussing through our like how we feel like we would personally handle that situation. Like if I was opt into this movie, like what would I do to try and be the final girl?
Yeah.
We were still trying to like work out the kinks of how to play that game. But I loved the concept of that game.
Didn't we have like a name for it? There was a name for it, right?
Friendpocalypse.
Friendpocalypse.
Yeah.
And mostly I just really liked going to see scary movies in theater and having an excuse to like have that experience.
Yeah, no, like you guys just reminded me us doing those things. It's funny because I do my show now, probably my most successful podcast. One of our rules is that you don't review a movie by rewriting it. Which is fine. It's true. But also it's less fun. Like that's like what we used to do was definitely fun. I don't think we were trying to do it for the fun reason. You know what I mean? That's more educational.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember really enjoying that because we put ourselves in the situation, and then we would also try to make our version of the movie, which was awesome. I always felt our versions might have been a little bit better, but you know,
there was a little bit more joy, I think, that went into some of those.
Yeah, right.
We didn't take ourselves so seriously, I think.
Yeah. No, it was definitely fun. Yeah, like I guess I want to ask, why did it end? Because I don't remember. Did it just trail off, or did we have like that's enough or anything? I don't remember.
So I think that there was sort of an inevitable conclusion when Justin and I had been doing instant screaming for years, and we had amassed kind of at the beginning, we had a lot of people who would listen every week. And then as we went on, podcasts became way more popular. And like people, it suddenly wasn't like a weird niche thing. And I think so the market was being saturated. And what we realized was like one week we had a very diligent listener who would listen every single week. We named a game after them that we would play on Instant Screaming, where I would read 5 real movie titles and 5 fake ones, and you would have to try and guess and which ones I just made the fuck up. And it was called like 10 out of 10. And when we realized that the person we had named that game after wasn't even listening to us anymore, we were like, we're doing this for no one. Like, we're doing this for ourselves. We either had to like put serious energy behind it to market it, to move it to video, to like do something to get it in front of, out of sort of the baltosphere, like out of the bubble, or it was just going to be over. And so that happened right as I got a job in DC. So those two things kind of colliding, I think, really just spelled the end for our podcast.
Story as old as time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it is really my fault. Like if I hadn't moved out of Baltimore, it's distinctly possible that we would have kept doing at least this offshoot.
I think we could blame Justin just as much. He lost. I mean, he's never going to listen to this, but he lost just as much interest. I remember Justin being like, Justin lost interest in everything he ever did. So he you know what I mean? I remember him not caring about podcasting. He told me.
He never cared about it.
Yeah, he never did.
But that was like his thing.
Yeah,
like
not caring.
It wasn't like, I think if I had continued to schedule it, Justin would never have told me no. Because he's just like a really good dude. And he's kind of like a ride along Ralph. Like, he'll do whatever if you do all the work.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the deal, was like, Justin was the personality, because you just never know what the fuck is going to come out of his mouth. And like, I kind of think like if we had tried to do this podcast now, like, instantly cancelable. Like he is like the least. Justin's brand of humor is like, I'm going to make the most offensive.
Oh yeah,
color joke. Like, it's just this kind of thing where it's like and I loved that energy.
I'm not going to have him on this podcast for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still talk to him. I'm just not going to have him on a mic anymore.
No, because you can't have your brand associated with somebody who's like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to make the weirdest, darkest jokes possible.
Yeah.
But like that sort of like, it was like chaos and control, I think. And like, Justin's also incredibly smart. So, and he has a lot of information. And I think it was really fun to sort of like create that bond with him, but like, he wouldn't have cared. It could have gone on forever. It could have ended immediately. He wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we were kind of caught we're a casualty of that. Like we like if it's screaming die, we die. That was kind of the thing. Yeah. That's fine. I mean, that's sort of how most things end, I think, you know. Sometimes they just taper off, or sometimes, you were the linchpin, Sarah. That's the truth. Is that, the second you could decided not to do it, that was it for everybody. It was just like if I stop caring about this, the Thundergrunt dies completely. The second I stop caring. So that's why I'm doing this, because I was like, oh, I have to care because I got another couple shows, and if I let those down, you know, it's all gone. I might as well just stop. I should delete everything. So you were that person then for Instant Screaming, the Instant Screaming Empire.
Yeah, and I kind of it kind of all happened at the same time. I hit a wall in my personal life of I had exhausted that role in myself, of being the person who was responsible, and I was like, I was failing at doing that, and like I couldn't muster up the the initiative to give a shit about anything I was involved in. So like, and it wasn't that I didn't love those projects or love the people I did them with. It was just like I burned myself out so bad in my 20s, and my 30s has definitely been recovery from how burnt out I've fucking been.
Yeah, I think that's like kind of the reason podcasts end so often. Like they end, more than any other creative endeavor, they end because like as soon as life has any hiccups, everyone's like, well, the podcast, that's the first thing you get out of here.
Right.
It's over. Like
very low stakes.
It's very low stakes. Unless it's like super famous and you're making money from it, it's like fucking gone. You just done. It's just, you know, or somebody or it could just be somebody has like a kid. You know, I have friends who like one of the hosts had a kid. The whole podcast ended because of the kid. It's just like it's that fragile of a thing. Like you have to be someone like me who's like this weird, you know, spinster guy that lives in a basement to keep going.
Love that you describe
so
yourself as a spinster.
Isn't that the word? Isn't that what that means?
Spinster is usually it's usually feminine term.
Oh, well, whatever.
They would just say that you were like a confirmed bachelor or something like that.
Mm.
So it's amazing. I've spent 39 years not knowing what that word meant. Anyway, I did. Yeah, I just called myself whatever. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, but that's the truth. Is like to commit to this stuff, you kind of have to not have other distractions. You know. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just really happy that we did it because I really remember really enjoying it. I don't know how many listeners we had. I don't think we had many because we were like you said, Sarah. We came in during the dying arc of Instant Screaming. Like you had that good arc too. You had like a peak, and then there was
definitely did.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that the best thing that Instant Screaming ever did, was the marathon.
Oh God,
the episodes are unlistenable.
Oh, they're terrible podcasts.
Oh. They are terrible podcasts, but like it was my very favorite thing, and like it was torture. Also on some
it wasn't like fun.
It was not fun.
No, it was fun still.
I remember doing one where like I stayed for like the first 3 movies and then I had to leave and do something, and I came back for like the last one, and the state of everyone in that room was just like it was just like a war zone. There were just like bodies everywhere. People were just making sounds, eating snacks off the ground. It was like it seemed like it really took a toll.
It's like, you know, once again, I think it was kind of ahead of its time. It was done. Okay, it was executed terribly. We'll just say that out loud. I was also part of that execution. There was times where we were like in this house and we're recording on my equipment, but it was still like 15 people standing around, directional microphones talking. It was like nobody, unlistenable trash. Like it was badly executed, but the idea of a group reaction to movies is so insanely popular now. Like you go on YouTube, movie reactions are like raging. Like they're just like one of the most popular things on YouTube. Instant Screaming was doing that like 5-6 years ago. it's just, it was not, if it was better documented, I think, like if we had good mics and maybe even filmed it somehow, it might have worked. But that's not what went down. It was more just like the endurance trial of doing it. Like Justin, like he didn't care about the podcast part of it. He would like show up at my house at like 6 a.m. for like the Saul Marathon, right? And he woke me up and he's like, "Hey, you got half an hour to start." He didn't give a crap about recording it. He just wanted to spend the whole day torturing ourselves, watching his favorite movies and drinking
and watching. Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the end result. Like the actual recording, you know what I mean? He's like the opposite of the dude in the fucking movie we're going to talk about. Justin is like the opposite of that guy. Justin like doesn't give a fuck about the end result or the views or anything. He just cares about
the experience.
The experience, right? Yeah.
That's like what he loves. Like he doesn't want to be in a band. He wants to go see bands. Like he doesn't want to do the admin. Like he just wants to experience it. And like I genuinely love that about him because it allows him to like really enjoy the things he enjoys without feeling like he needs to be involved somehow.
Yeah.
And then burn himself out.
Right. But yeah, we were basically the casualty of something else.
So,
that's the truth. It wasn't us.
Like, I think I wanted to capture. I think the idea behind Now Slang was to release Justin a little bit from his responsibilities to the podcast, allow it to be a duality, so that we were doing this once a month and that once a month, and then to sort of take that unbridled chaos of the marathon thing where like it's less it's less academic than instant screaming would typically be, like with comparing and contrasting and bringing some of that fun in. And you three especially, it was just like I loved you all so much, and you're like very funny people, but you're also all very smart people, and you're also people who appreciated the genre and like we're super knowledgeable. So like it was a very easy, I think, group to sort of coalesce out of the marathon watchers into people who I knew I could like mine for bits.
I distinctly remember, we should mention Mike Walls. He's not here tonight, but he was the fourth of Now Slaying. He was the guy recording. He made it sound really good, which is super important for a podcast. But he loves horror movies. I was gonna say, I remember being in his basement, and I think I'm the one who said to you, Sarah, I was like, you know what? I was like, this should just be instant screaming, and you should just tell Justin he's off the hook except for marathons. And I remember telling you, like, this should just be your new, this is instant screaming now. It's like, just have us do it. Then you don't have to worry about inviting guests. You got that off your plate. It's just the four of us. We can keep going. If there's a marathon, Justin can, that can be you and him host that.
Yeah.
I remember saying that, but I think that was around the time where it was ending anyway. So it didn't matter. But,
it was possible. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think if I had not moved, it could have continued on. There were a couple other things that happened that I think would have made it really challenging moving forward. Like, I ended my relationship with the band that I was in with Mike. So I think that would have proved difficult to navigate. And I ended my relationship with Bros pretty abruptly as well. So like
there was a lot of ends around that time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I burnt the fuck out. Like I had been so eager to create in my 20s, and in my 30s it's really just been about like, I'm gonna sit on my couch, pet my cat, and watch this movie and not push myself to make anything.
Right.
Because like, God, I'm not that like, I don't know. I feel really divorced from my ego these days. Like nobody really fucking needs my opinion. Like, I don't know why I was trying to shove it at people so much.
Right.
But like, one of the things that was happening when I was leaving Queen Wolf was like, they really wanted to make a go of it. Like, they wanted to be a band. And I was like, I have no interest in being a professional artist. And like, that was kind of a revelation.
Yeah. It's pretty big.
Yeah. And like, I had always been a semi-professional artist, somebody who got paid off and on. But like, I think I really thought it was just theater that I was done with for a while. Because I stopped performing. I like really made that conscious decision during Amphion that I was like, I hate this. Fuck this. I don't want to do it anymore. And it started at Bat Boy and it ended at Amphion. And then what I realized was it wasn't just theater. It was everything.
It was everything.
So
Yeah.
I think, and then of course, the thing that really would have killed it was the pandemic.
Well, yeah.
But
I mean, like, that's why I had this idea, because I was like, there was times that during the pandemic where I was like, I think I might be done. Like, I can't see the point in talking about shit anymore. You know, like, I had to find the reason. Like you said, the whole ego thing. Like, do I have anything important to add to the world anymore with coming out of my mouth? I don't think I do. You know, so I had to find that again. And that was kind of hard for a while. But also, I was going to say, like, for all three of us, like, that decade that we were doing that and now slaying in at just the 2010s in general was slammed with creating things.
Yeah.
For all of us, right? Like, it was non-fucking stop all the time. And there was significant burnout that happened to me. Literally, I would say 2019 was when it hit, when I slammed into a wall. The fact that the pandemic happened, like, the next year, I was almost like, it figures. Because I was like, I was done with life, too, by then. Because I just had done too much. And I don't know if I cared anymore as much as I used to. So, you know, I get what you're saying, is basically. You know, but we were really busy. We did a lot of shit. There's a lot of stuff going on.
And it was all of us.
Yeah,
yeah.
All four of us had our fingers in like so many different pots. Like,
all of you had you were all in bands, all three of you.
Yep.
Yeah. There was the involvement in the theater community.
I was writing 2 shows for Bros at the same time. And then
it was
producing one of them.
It was a real, like,
also,
you know, what is the Glenn Ross, like, you know, always be whatever it is.
Creating.
Always be creating. Yes, that's what I was gonna think. Yeah, so it's like we were all in this like Thunderdome of just like who can create the most shit, you know, and it was just like it was inevitable that there was a burnout. And
at one point I wanted to start a second band with Scott. We were talking about doing that. Thank God that never fucking manifested. But like, I would have done, and I would have kept, I don't know if I would have kept on going, but, you know, significant events happen. People change.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
It was fun regardless. We didn't have that many episodes, but it was very fun.
Oh my God. But like the most fun thing about it was just like hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
And being like, my friends are really fucking funny. And like, I want to amplify that voice to the world. Here are my really fucking funny friends. And I do think that if I had like continued to be invested and like maybe tried to like punch it in a little harder, it was really ahead of the curve. We could have been successful, I think, but then we would be like the people in this movie we're going to talk about, and we would have been garbage.
No, people. I was watching. We can talk about the movie. Where we like because I was totally thinking that while I was watching. I was like, what a weird. Did you know that? Because I was like watching. I was like, this almost feels like the exact problem, right? Like in effort to make these like revisits, kind of like a little bit of the actual episode. I asked would you guys watch a movie? Sarah said The Deep House from 2021. which I had never heard of. I don't know about you, Becky.
Nope.
It's currently on. It's instantly streaming on Hulu right now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's about YouTubers, which is not that far off in like ethos from like podcasting, right?
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's like video podcasting.
I think of it as like more active podcasting.
Yeah, like
they're doing a lot more moving
Podcasting where
around.
you have to like go outside.
Yeah, they have to like
do adventure podcasting. That's what
It's
YouTubers are.
healthy, thin, young people podcasting. Yeah,
It's for fit. It's for fit folks.
Yeah.
And fuck that. No,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah. But the Deep House.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
yeah.
what?
I
So I mean, I would guess. Did you guys like it? I don't even know how I feel about it.
I spiritually or intellectually? Intellectually, I hate this movie. Spiritually, it's my favorite movie.
Okay,
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
okay, sure, I can see
There
that.
was like, as soon as it started, and I was like, well, that's dumb. I'm annoyed by this. This other thing is fucking weird. Like, it was just sort of like every 10 seconds or so, I was just like, what are we doing? But like by the end of it, I was like, like I was also tallying up like the things I appreciated and some of the like unsettling shit that I felt was very effective, and some stuff where it was just like, okay, well, like I get that lake water is not the same as the ocean, but stuff still breaks down.
Yeah, you can't. That was like this excuse. I was okay.
It's like, oh, it's a lake. We're in a lake. It's not the ocean. Like a car's not going to like decompose.
it's
a
like-
fish isn't going to eat some of this stuff.
I almost thought about Googling it during the movie, where I was like, is lake water really not that corrosive? I don't think that's true.
It's not even
Yeah.
about corrosive so much as just like it's
It's
stuff
water.
that's not supposed to be soaking in water for however many fucking years.
Now,
That made
let
me so mad.
Let me get this out first. The pitch and premise for this movie is really good. It's so good because the pitch is just a haunted house underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Thumbs up.
Haven't
Yeah,
seen that
I'm here.
before. Done. That's a great premise.
Yeah.
That's just like interesting. Like, all right, let's see how you do it. It's the execution, I think, where it might falter for a lot of people. Maybe for me too.
Yeah.
So it should really speak to the fact that my viewing habits are still such instant streaming trash garbage that this was like we really want you to watch this movie on my Hulu. And that's how we heard about it.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about movies, I was like, I've seen so many recently, and I was like, oh, I don't know, there's that new one with Zoe Kravitz where like there's the Alexa Rear Window remake. Like I was like, we've watched this and this and this, and then I was like looking at our old conversation, and Mike said something about ghosts and sharks, and I was like,
he still does. He said he dislikes Ghosts and Sharks. Remind everybody. So this is your reminder. Yeah.
But I was like, I know the movie because we had watched a dumb underwater horror movie and we had watched a dumb haunted house movie, and I was like, I got it.
Which was real quick before we really get into the Deep House. What movies did we review? It was like
Belko Experiment was
Belko
first.
Experiment, 47 meters down. It. Right?
I think it was on our docket.
Do we not do it?
We actually did it.
Was it Wish Upon?
We did Wish Upon.
Annabelle Creation.
Annabelle Creation.
And then The Conjuring, the or whatever, the last key.
The Insidious.
Insidious, the last key. That's 5.
Yeah, so those are the 5. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I
Sharks
remember
and ghosts.
when I was watching this, I was like, did Sarah pick this because we did 47 meters down?
Yes,
I specifically remember not.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy 47 meters down. So I was like,
you weren't supposed to.
I didn't. I was not.
It was Mandy Moore got a tropical vacation. That's what that movie was.
Oh my god! And it has a sequel now. I can't talk about it.
Yeah, I did not watch the sequel. Okay.
I haven't.
I did.
I want to.
I sure did.
So, I was gonna say about this is that the weird thing about this movie is it's like a half found footage, half actual narrative movie. Like there's actual real like camera shots that aren't their cameras in this movie, which I found weird. I was like,
is that supposed to be the drone? shots?
I think they were
there's
like
remember,
so they
remember when
each
she's like practicing like her breathing? That camera is like, omniscient.
Oh, yeah.
It is not them. Like there's shots in this movie that aren't found footage.
Well, I thought they each had a camera like on the side of their masks and then the drone.
Well, right. I'm saying,
but there are other camera shots, like when they're in the car.
When they're in the car and stuff, they're not.
Yeah.
There's like it's an actual movie. They're in very odd places where I was like, I would think they had the YouTuber premise. You could have just had them have GoPros on all the time. I would have believed it, and that would be fine.
Yeah.
But
there were a lot of things about this movie where you're like, "Excuse me, I don't understand."
Can I tell you that I completely discounted the entire part of the movie where they're not underwater? Like that's what I was like, they had the 3 cameras underwater. I completely did not the very opening where they're like running around in like a haunted house.
Oh yeah.
And like that that was done really quick, and like I don't know if I like missed some stuff, but it was just sort of like where I understood they were trying to set them up as YouTubers, but it just felt very fast and didn't really explain itself. Or I'll say this:
it set him up as a character, the guy, because it set him up as playing pranks on her, and that's about all that it really served as. But it did serve that function, and it was shot with actual GoPros because the footage looked like GoPro footage. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah. When it started, I was like, oh shit, it's like just real GoPro footage. Okay. Yeah. Like it wasn't like a camera they downgraded. It looked exactly like GoPro footage. I was like, oh, that's what we're doing, huh? It's on Hulu.
I do want to fill out a job application though for like drone operator / haunted house aficionado. Like their job is that. Like I would do that for a living. I would walk around weird sanatoriums in Ukraine.
I also want to say, like, this movie for me was like, I love The Descent. Okay, The Descent's a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but that is the ultimate. To me, The Descent is like the ultimate fuck around, find out movie where it's like, it's scary, but you all went down there. Right. Like, I don't have any sympathy for you because you did, like, you know how this doesn't kill you is you don't go.
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for the characters because they went there,
And constantly made the worst possible fucking decision.
Right. It's just like my sympathy left the door when they're like, let's go to the basement of the underwater haunted house with a fucking, like, crucifix barring the door closed. I was like, okay. Jesus. I was like, you should just kill yourselves now because you're useless as human beings.
You're in a situation. if you already think that you're in a haunted house and you see a huge crucifix being used to lock a door, there's nothing in there for you. That's not for you. Don't open that.
Did you guys? Okay, so. This is all
this movie. This movie is so stupid. It's so dumb that it's like I love it.
I mean, it's super dumb. I was a little disappointed with what was the truth of going on. What was actually happening. Like I got how they set it up and everything, but I was kind of hoping that the crucifix door was like holding like gateway to hell or something like that.
Cooler.
I thought that's what was happening progressively here, and then it turned out it was like they did that whole James Bond let me reveal the whole plan at the end thing with the weird ass screening room, where we show our snuff films of where we operate on local kids. It was like I was like, okay, this went from like me thinking it was the doorway to hell, like the Sentinel from like the 70s or something, like it just happened to be like a doorway to hell in the basement of the thing, and it got flooded over, to a family dissects kids and then a bunch of people kill the family and then the house floods. I was like, oh, what's happening here? I was like, that's what's going on.
Well, there was also there was no why was that area flooded? Because it was a lake and
it was really deep too.
It was intentional. Yeah, it was super.
Holy shit, was it
really
deep?
Far down?
Yeah, like a house that gets flooded like that, you would think okay, there's 10 feet of water above it. Like it was just barely underwater. But that thing is at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean there are in this country there are entire flooded towns.
Yeah, there are.
I think there are
deep.
But
I
she
think
swam
there are houses at the bottom of Loch Raven Reservoir.
There are. But she swam like a quarter mile. There was a quarter mile of distance between the top of the house and the surface. Like, I was just like, wow, this shit is fucking deep. What the hell happened here?
Yeah. But it could have been more of the story of like, and then the town flooded the...
That's why I thought it was like, I thought they were going to find out it was like a hole to hell, and then something local, like a local wizard or a priest or something, was like, the only way to close up a hole to hell is you put a big crucifix on the door and then flood the fucking town.
Yeah.
That's it.
Everybody else moves. That's the only way to do this.
You can only, but that is not what happened.
No. They said it was because of like frequent and reoccurrent floods. They just decided to like flood the town, but they didn't decide to flood the town. They only flooded that one family's.
Right. There were no other houses around it. Like when they got to the like touristy part of the lake, like towards the beginning, and they were like trying to find this like crazy spot with like flooded houses, the Ben, the main guy, was saying that like the people, they were like, they pretty much demolished everything before they flooded this. Which, like, why also wouldn't you have like kind of demolished the horrible house,
the kid kill house,
the child murder home? Why wouldn't you have?
Well, it was history. They didn't want to destroy history. All of our kids died there. We don't want to just knock it down. Like seriously.
Instead of demolishing the evidence of our murders, we're simply going to fill them with water.
As you know, lake water preserves things forever, and they will never degrade or break down. So,
okay. Here's my question for both of you.
Yeah.
How did the dude, the kid that survived, the kid of the killer family, how did he one day figure out what the hell was happening down there? Like, he left. They had to have been flooded. Did he know what the deal was? Did his family like call to him and say, "Hey, look, here's the deal. You got to feed us travelers, and we're just going to keep replacing them every time we eat them up, and then we just replace them." I don't know what the hell we're doing, but just give us just push people into the lake, basically, because that's what we need. We're hungry. I just say, like, how did he figure it out what to do?
Well, so like it seemed like from the the footage at the end when they were in the screening room in the house.
Yeah.
It was like talking about like as a family they would like dissect and like sacrifice these children to evil. And like the family motto about like it sounded very Game of Thronesy, or it was like
it's a Lovecraft.
What lies?
It's a Lovecraft quote. Yeah. It's literally just a Lovecraft quote. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something about like what lies below stays eternal or some shit. So it was like I think trying to set up that like the mom and dad had been chained up down there in the house, and the house was like where they did all of their sacrificing of children. So like he was just sort of like bringing them more sacrifices to keep them, I'm assuming, to keep them going. That's what I gleamed from it.
I get that. I just mean like what was the initial like process of him, like did it all flood and then he's like, maybe I should go diving down into the house to see what's up.
Oh, maybe.
And then he dives down there and his parents are like, look, here's the deal. Like
a frank heart-to-heart conversation.
Right.
Bottom of this lake.
Like, you need to keep bringing us people. I don't know. It's just like, how did he know what to do? And what are the chances of him finding YouTubers that have scuba gear constantly? Right? It's such a specific...
Taking people who can actually get down to that depth. Who then want to go in.
What was the guy's name?
Pierre.
Ben.
Ben.
Ben. Guy.
Ben.
Yeah, no. Ben had some serious equipment.
Yeah.
Like, they showed up ready to go.
Who is funding their failing YouTube?
That's what I wanted to know.
I'm so curious.
I'm like, if they don't have the views to make money, where is he getting this stuff? I don't even have a good podcast recorder.
You've been doing it for like a decade.
Right. I was like, what is he doing? Like that he's affording this like underwater drone that is like it's like omnisciently like a robot.
It had sonar and a bunch of different kinds of lights. It was like very mobile.
It was maybe evil.
Oh, it was definitely evil sometimes.
No, that like it to complement the movie, the whole motion sensor red light thing was good. Like that was a good idea.
Yeah.
There are elements of this movie that I think are very cool. Like I definitely think somebody just got really high and was like, haunted house underwater. Let's do it. Let's fucking go, man. Yeah. But like the score is really good.
Yeah.
When they drop that fucking French cover of You Don't Own Me when she's like being attacked and he can't hear it, I was like, this is a jam. Like for sure. There are atmospheric elements to it. I think it's kind of okay. So I can assume that everyone thinks deep water is scary, but like diving footage to me is actually kind of soothing. So like even though it was like a creepy thing, but I thought the color palette that they were working with was really effective. And some of the air running out is always an effective like
from like a script standpoint, that's like a ticking clock that just is finite. Like though you're watching that movie the whole time, you're like feel the pressure of the ticking clock of oxygen no matter what is happening with the ghosts. Like you're just like they're going to die if they don't get out of there just for the mere fact they can't breathe. It's like that's perfect. You don't need anything else. Like just any problem that arises, it's affecting the breathing. Yeah. I also want to say like it was ingenious from like a filmmaking standpoint where the whole movie is just dubbed for them because they're talking. We can never see their mouths that whole second half. It's well, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not them. Obviously, it's not them in the moment of filming. Like that was all made in the post. So I was like, just from a filmmaking standpoint, I was like, it's kind of ingenious because all you had to do was go down there and then film all your shots, and then you add all the dialogue and stuff later. It was all post. I was like, that's not a bad idea, you know?
The first time I watched this movie, because I did watch it a second time for you guys, but the first time I watched it, you're very welcome. Cool. And I saw that they had divers that did 90, I mean, it's like 65% of the movie. Mm-hmm. James Jagger, Mick Jagger's kid, who is a very good actor. I'm just kidding. Is
that seriously him?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that was James Jagger. Okay.
Yeah. That he wasn't even in that fucking part of the movie. That it was like two divers, and all they did was dub it. I was like, it kind of blew my mind a little bit. It shouldn't blow my mind, but it kind of blew my mind a little bit because I was like, I assume they would do some of the acting down there, but they did absolutely zero of it. And then like, so the second time I was watching it, I was also here, which is my work. And so I was really listening to it. And like, what I really realized is that the dialogue feels very much like chatter in a video game. Like all of it. Yeah. It has that quality to it. And none of it makes any fucking sense. Because like there's a moment where she's like, she picks up a statue and she's like, oh, I forgot the people around here are so superstitious. And then they immediately swim around the corner and she goes, don't open that. It's bad luck. And he goes, ha ha ha, you're so superstitious. And I was like, the script is nonsense. The script is gobbledygook. It's like an AI wrote it. It's like hilariously nonsense. Like it goes everywhere and nowhere at the same time. But they were like, all right, there's a family, that guy's related to them somehow, and he's got to get people down there, and you guys just make up the fucking rest.
Yeah
like everybody's opinions change, their personalities change. Like they'll say something and literally 5 seconds later they'll contradict themselves because he'll be like, haunted house don't exist, and then she's like, this house is haunted, and he goes, yeah, probably. I was like, what the fuck?
Like you gave it on your like metaphysical belief that quick?
Immediately.
Just like immediately. Just sure, they exist. This is definitely haunted. So they were like strung up in chains over that seal, right?
Yeah.
Was the movie trying to say that the sacrifices they made was actually like the thing that let them continue living, or was what the villagers did to them the thing that spurred them going on to be whatever this is, to be ghouls or whatever this is? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why they kept living. Was it their own doing with their deal with the devil because they're torturing kids?
So I thought that it was like they had been killing all these kids, and that was like the benefit of that was then they get to like live forever. But then like, yeah, also being caught and killed by the villagers, like strung up like that. Like that could have also tied them to the location.
Okay.
I don't know. It was unclear
because that whole thing looks so intentional. Like they're hanging from these chains from the ceiling over top of
the masks and stuff.
Yeah, just like I was like, did the villagers do this, or did they have this ready to go when the villagers got there? They were just like, hey, look at all these chains, let's hang them up.
You know
what I'm saying though, right? Like it's all. What happened there?
It's nonsense.
Right.
Yeah,
the villagers weren't Satanists. The villagers were not Satanists.
No, they were very anti-Satanists.
They're very, well, yeah. You carved up my kids.
They were very upset. Oh, no.
The villagers put the crucifix there.
Yeah, but they also, killed them and hung them above the satanic seal? Like,
that's what I mean. Like,
pro-Satanist. So
why would you do that? Why would you, if you're not... If people carved your kids up, you wouldn't like go to their house and like, oh, look at all their S&M gear down in the torture basement. Let's hang them up and put it on them. Like, why? I don't know. That's the only thing I found really weird.
Are they supposed to be
a lot of motives
good?
are unclear. Well, yeah. Like it seemed like they were, because like was it the mother and the father that were strung up, and then the daughter was the one upstairs? Because like, again, in the reel at the end, they killed the daughter and then they just strung up the parents, I think. So like, she seemed to be like kind of a free floating ghost. She could go all over the house. The other two had to wait to be like let out of the big crucifix room. It was strange. It wasn't totally clear if they were corporeal or not.
Was it?
Yeah. I think at some point they were meant to serve those different purposes. Like sometimes they're demons and sometimes they're ghosts and sometimes there's zombies.
So here, the thing we were talking about originally, where you said it's funny how the movie's about YouTubers that want money and fame. Mm-hmm. Was the movie trying to make a parallel between that, what they're trying to do, what the guy Ben is essentially trying to do, versus the fact that there's like that whole underlying, they're filming this tortured kids thing and they have a screening room with it? There seemed to be some kind of parallel the movie was trying to make between being a YouTuber for fame and fortune and them filming things and having a screening room. Because the screening room is super weird. It's just a super weird part of the movie. I was just like, what is... I don't understand the parallel that thematically that the movie is trying to make. You know what I'm saying? Like,
one of the most consistent things in the movie is how much they bring up like the film equipment. Like there's film equipment here. What's that? What's behind that door? Just more film equipment. And one point he opens the door, he's like, oh my God. And she's like, what? And he goes, no, it's just more film equipment. And there was film in the attic and there are pictures. And yeah, maybe it is a dig at like people who, I mean, okay, we can go like actual, like real life. Like there are definitely people who like travel the world and will act like out of line at like famous historical sites or, you know, old ruins or like whatever.
They do duck lips in front of like a Holocaust memorial or something, you know?
Exactly.
Like, vapid influencer culture.
Yeah. Logan Paul in the Suicide Forest in Japan.
Right.
Is like probably the best example you have of it is like, this is not fucking content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And like, maybe they were trying to dig at that. And maybe there is also some
like they were the ultimate content makers before there was the internet.
Oh, the family.
Well, yeah.
The family
the
was
family.
like making all these snuff films of kids being tortured and dissected, and then they were saying like YouTubers are the natural historical extension of that or something.
Yeah. Or yeah. I mean, like I like the label of it's a fuck around and find out movie, but like
Yeah.
I don't know if there is something there. I feel like it's so meta. It's like such a meta.
It's just not clear. Is all I'm saying.
I think they were trying to do too many things, and they really just wanted to make a haunted house underwater movie, and they were like, ooh, but like the parallels of turning other people's tragedy into content, and like how fucked up that is, and like they kind of deserve what they get, you know, like
and Satanism and
like, the devil,
and serial killers, and like. Yeah, because you never got the impression. It would have made a lot more sense if there was paranormal stuff going on when the family were serial killers. But like, I never got that impression.
No.
That like anyone suspected that was happening. Like,
right. Yeah.
But there was also like the way they set up the missing kids is like, I totally missed it the first time. So because I was, you know how I am, Bob, you've seen it. I was on my phone. So like, I totally
reading the Wikipedia page and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, I was like playing Sudoku and looking up trivia facts about this movie, and doing some deep dive research into James Jacker and his like career, and but so like by the time they got to like, I was like, who the fuck are they killing? And they were like, the kid. Alex was like, the kids. I was like, what kids? Their own kids? It was like, I totally missed it the first time. And the second time through, it's just like so subtle. But then the second time through, I also realized just how much time was spent on like the descent to the house. That's like a very long sequence exploring the outside of the house, interacting with that eel, like chasing that eel around the house. Like so many shots of them just like flipping through a book. I was like, you did not care about the story of this fucking movie. Like the plot does not matter to you at all. You were like, I just want to make this. This is what I want to make.
We haven't really said it, but I mean, the plot is very similar to Nightmare on Elm Street, where you have, I mean, it's a family instead of one dude, but it's somebody killing local kids, and then the whole town revolts and murders them horribly. And then they're like this curse that has come back to torture, but they're not
a very specific niche
group of people. But it's
like
not
courting tourists.
It's just different in that
scuba dive in lakes.
Yeah. It's just different in that they're not like punishing the kids of the people who eventually killed them.
That would have been a good twist.
Right, like James Jacker's like, my family used to live from this area, I was drawn here, or her, right,
I mean, she was actually French, like,
that didn't really play into it. It was just that she could speak French,
like literally nothing mattered. It really did feel like they had like it felt like Best in Show. They were like, here are some key things about who you are.
Yeah.
And then none of it else. And then you go. Nothing else really matters.
I mean, it's not the worst. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't congeal. I think the scenes where she's having like her visions of getting attacked are I was like, oh, come on. I can't even tell what's happening. This is terrible. Yeah. It's just like absolute garbage. It just looked like nothing. I was like, I can't tell.
I will say that like, I liked all of the set dressing stuff. Like I thought the house itself was very creepy, and I especially really liked the room where like the chairs and the candelabras were like floating, because it was also kind of like, I don't think that would really be floating like that. So it was like just a little bit eerie. I don't know. Like the setting was cool, and like when they would sort of like scan like the bedroom that had all the pictures and stuff up on the antlers and shit, it was like, I want more of that. Show me more of these rooms. Show me creepy dolls floating. Like, open another box of snow globes. Like, just give me something interesting and weird to look at.
I loved how to them that snow globe box wasn't that big of a deal. I was like, that's fucking weird. You're in this fucking house underwater and you open a box and what was it, like 15 snow globes come out? I'm like,
a bunch of snow globes.
That's fucking weird.
Well, I was low key hoping that would come back as like when they ran out of air, because those had a little bit of air in them.
Yeah.
Of like, then she'd be like swimming to the top, holding snow globes and trying to like puff the air out of them. Yeah.
Nope. Didn't come back.
Nope. Didn't come back.
Becky, that's so fucking good.
Yeah, because I'd live.
Well, you wouldn't go down there.
I wouldn't go down there. I'm not scuba certified. There's no reason for me.
I could be a scuba Jedi master and I wouldn't go down there. Like I just not. You're not getting me down there.
Like as soon as they went inside the house, I was just like, well, then you die there. Like that's
what you deserve.
Now you're gonna get trapped in there. You don't know the layout of this fucking house. Like you're just like scuba. You have a limited amount of air that you used a ton of to get down there.
You paid all that money for that drone, right? I was like. You paid all that money for it. Just send that into the house and stay floating outside and let that get all your footage. And then at least your body, you're not physically in there. You paid for all this shit.
Yeah.
Just do the outside with your GoPros on your body, and then the inside is the drone, right? And the drone's never going to touch the crucifix, because I assume the crucifix was the moment it was unleashed. Like, that was the moment where they took that off, is where they couldn't leave anymore. Right.
So there was.
I felt like that was when the evil was let out, like completely.
Well, because like when they were in that one bedroom that had the like drapey thing over the bed, and like as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, somebody's in there. Like, but like that, you know what I mean? So like some scary stuff was already happening. So I think the house was like activated as soon as they entered. Is kind of how it felt.
I feel like the ultimate sin was the crucifix. Like that crucifix was holding back their full potential. And you move that, then it's like that's when like the house locks itself down magically and you can't get out normally anymore, you know, like the crucifix.
13 ghosts.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Like that. Yeah. Like that's what I felt like the moment of no return was. Like they still could have got out before they were dumb enough. Oh, it's this crucifix. Let's move it and open the door.
I really wish that it had just been the entrance to hell. Like that would have been so much better.
I didn't need the whole.
Yeah, I didn't need the whole like them hanging up in this room, and it's just that's now they're out and they're doing stuff. Like it would have been so much better if it was like a portal to hell.
You see those people hanging there, and you're like, this has Hellraiser vibes instantly.
Yeah,
you got the crucifix, and then you got that the sigil in the ground or whatever. And these people, they're like, you know, they look like they've been tortured. It looks like something from Event Horizon or something. Yeah. I'm like, all right, so like this is a hole to hell. And I was like, okay, this is way cooler than I thought it would be. And it kind of pulls back from that. So,
nope.
Have you guys seen The Veil, which is kind of like a Jim Jones horror movie? It's like they bring a cult survivor back to like the place where mass suicide happened.
I have not.
All right, I'm gonna spoil The Veil.
Go ahead.
So it turns out, and it's like a lot of this, they watch a bunch of old movies, they're trying to remember, and it's like his cult was all about, he figured out the key to eternal life. And like something went wrong, and then all of the ghosts are trapped there, and they take over the bodies of the crew members. And like that's eternal life, is like possessing people and moving on. So what I assumed had happened was that the daughter was waiting for two people who could host the spirits of her parents. Mm-hmm. So like she had always just been like, she could not get to them alone and needed somebody to help facilitate that, is the assumption that I made about this movie that has no context clues to it at all. Like we are reviewing the movie by rewriting it. Like we are adding in our own interpretation of how this went, or like what the point of it was.
Somebody has to write this movie. Nobody wrote this movie.
Nobody wrote it. Nobody wrote it. So
they
that's
wrote
how
it
I filled those gaps in my head. But yeah, there were like little spookies that happened beforehand. Like their camera equipment was like gurgle, or their drone was acting weird, or there maybe was somebody under the bed sheet or stuff. But like, yeah, I think that once they discovered the floating corpses, it really took a turn.
So two things that I can think rose to my mind when I was watching was, one, they had GoPros on their helmets underwater, yet the guy had one in his hand. And I was like, the whole time, I'm like, you're filming nigh the same thing with that camera angle.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, why is he holding one and there's one right here? I was like, it's the same.
How to get all the angles, bro? So many angles. One here.
Yeah, this
zero
film,
in,
yeah.
you pinpoint.
It's just weird to me. I was like,
like dowsing rods.
if I were making this movie, I would have had him like pick a strategic point where he like places the GoPro in the house, so it just records a wide shot of like the main room, and then use that shot for spooky shit. The second thing that popped to me was the him hiding under the bed. I was like, what are you
losing my mind,
like, dude? What do you think is going to happen right here?
Covered in lights.
Yeah, he's covered in lights. She definitely knows there's a dude under the bed.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what do you think what's the end game of hiding? Just get out, just get up and
rush her.
No, just start punching, man. Like you got nothing left.
Like a shark.
Yeah, you got nothing left.
He was holding that fucking knife out for so long too. I was like, well, stab her. I don't know. Come on.
Hit her legs. Maybe the ghost needs its legs. I don't know.
I don't know what the rules are here.
Yeah.
Is this a body or is it a
you're
ghost?
more than likely dead.
Demon?
So just start swinging here. Like you got nothing left.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she might have ghost strength. She might have normal. Well, that was the mother, right? Or that was the girl.
Yeah, it was the mom.
It was the mom. I was like, in normal world, he could probably take that mom.
Yeah.
She might just have that normal amount of mom strength. You could maybe do this, dude. I don't know. But she knows you're there. I don't know what the ruse is here. Like, let me just hide under this underwater bed. Like, with all my equipment on.
Really absurd. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure they like can sense everything that's happening in this house, so you're not fooling them.
So sneaky, like no.
It just was such a weird scene where I was like, does he think he's actually being stealth here? She saw him go under the bed.
She opened the door and fully saw him, and he dropped.
And he's like, oh no, and he goes like slowly down under the bed. I'm like, what are you doing? She knows you're there. It's just so weird. You okay?
I think he killed
Oh yeah, it's just such a weird scene. They even show the angle from her perspective, right, where he's like, "Ooh," and he floats down.
You can see all the fucking lights on his head.
Yeah, like you're a walking searchlight, for God's sake.
Yeah,
it's just weird. That's just such a weird thing. I guess they didn't know what to do. I don't know because they don't know what's happening.
It certainly was a funny moment. Yeah.
And her legs are right there. It's like, stab her leg.
Yeah, could you cut her? Yeah, cut at her feet. What are you doing?
It is the most bizarre movie. It is so strange. It is not a bad movie. Like, it's not
it has some thought to it.
Like, it's not a B movie. Like, there's like clearly care and thought and a really interesting premise.
And a dark ending.
Yeah.
Oh,
I liked the ending.
She ended up just dying from not being.
She didn't make it to the surface.
Yeah.
Should have taken those snow globes.
Should have
drank some of them snow globes. Yeah. That's super
30-year-old
fluid.
There was air in them snow globes.
Or it turns out like there's something that tells them the snow globes are filled with holy water or something, so they become like little grenades you could throw at the people. They blow up. They start burning them underwater because they're.
Because why not? Because fuck it.
Like, little holy hand grenades.
There was no like continuous like continuity of thought or idea.
Look at this book. It says that they put holy water in snow globes.
Oh.
It's just that's all that matters.
So stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. The other thing that really drove me crazy before I move on to my real point was when that guy was very clearly possessed and she just kept being like, this is how we leave? What are you talking about? You're not making any sense. It's like, honey, come on.
Do you not understand what's happening? Like he has been he's not himself.
When he told you to eat the snake is maybe when you should have not listened to him anymore.
Also, like, no offense to him, but I was like, when that was happening, I was like, look, this dude got you into this. Kind of just fuck him and just go up that hole because I was like, he's going.
Yeah.
you'll find love again.
She could have done so much better.
And you can let go of this YouTube
so smart,
shit.
so cute. Yeah, you don't need to be a YouTuber. She clearly hated it.
Honestly,
full offense to that man.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. She is extremely. She had a good voice. She can speak 2 languages. She's smart. She's extremely attractive.
Beautiful.
She could have a very successful YouTube channel without doing any of this shit. Like, I was like, she doesn't need him. She could have been famous online. She could be an influencer safely.
She could even still do travel stuff if she likes to do travel stuff.
Yeah, it's just not this dangerous shit. I was just saying, like, dude, leave him there. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, you don't need him.
Yeah.
But remember that he had the keys was the only thing.
I mean,
like,
whatever.
She just got to
get out of the house. That's all that mattered. Like, fuck your car and your life. Just get out of this fucking house because you got nothing left. You got no oxygen left.
No.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get out.
Yeah. Bear Grylls your way through the woods and find somebody who will help you.
Well, go to that and then go on a revenge mission to kill Pierre.
Oh, kill Pierre. Kill the shit out of Pierre.
Like, literally dissect him. Like, like, give him his little medicine that he used to give to the other kids.
So there are certain elements of this movie that thematically remind me of some of actually like my favorite of these kinds of movies. And it's like, it's that part of it that I find so confusing. Is like, so the 3 movies where I was like, oh, this reminds me of this was Hell House LLC, which is found footage about like a horror attraction, but it has that same kind of quality of like the rooms changing slightly when you go into them. And like, that is something that I appreciate about this is like the set dressing, as Becky was talking about, is like effectively eerie. And Hell House LLC has that same thing where it's like, you can hear a piano playing or the mannequins move very slightly and you're like, whatever.
Right.
And then there's Grave Encounters, which is like classic.
Yeah.
I haven't seen these. Have you seen these, Becky?
I believe I've seen both of these so far.
Okay, good.
This is I love a found footage, so
found footage.
any found footage movie. I'm a horror, but
Yeah, and I love haunted houses specifically. And these 2 live in this same like not the haunting of Hill House. It's not like directly haunted house, but it's like on the fringe of it, like taking those tropes and sort of turning them around. But Grave Encounters is like the best reality show, but it had some of those other elements of like, you can't get in, you can't get out. The time is weird. It never becomes daylight again. And they have the thing where they put the GoPros in like specific places and like, sometimes they move, like the ghosts just move them, which I love that. And then the one that it really reminded me of that I think is just the best fucking movie is As Above, So Below.
Oh God, I've seen that.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, Becky, you need to watch that. That's one of the most claustrophobic, scary movies I think I've ever seen.
It's pretty much like everything thematically that this movie wants to do.
It's that
As Above, So Below succeeds in doing.
Okay.
And As Above, So Below is like it's more than just what's on the surface because it's the Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
You should definitely watch that, Becky, because it's. I mean, like as I said, The Descent is scary. I like The Descent more than As Above, So Below because I think it's more of a genre fun movie than that is. But as that scared me way more because that's like claustrophobic hell.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Once again, also, it's a fuck around, find out movie. Like, you shouldn't be going into these places, but, if there'd be no movie if you did. And so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But
it's the same. Yeah. And I forget why they're filming for that, too. But it's probably.
It was like a documentary reason or something. It was it's the same kind of hubris, though. Like, they need the footage. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like. That to me is the best correlatory movie I can think of is like you were trying for As Above, So Below, and you ended at Deep House.
At the Deep House.
But there's no even comparison because As Above, So Below is so much more extensive than.
Well, like and what it has, like what it offers you is it's like there's some complex backstory in As Above, So Below, and there are also bilingual characters and characters that have the language barrier, but they manage to give you just enough information about all of them that you understand the key significance when they like have these thematic moments that happen to them.
Yeah.
Throughout this journey that they end up going through, and it's just
I don't feel the same about the Deep House.
No, I was happy when those characters died. They were, especially the dude. The dude was just fucking insufferable. The girl was a casualty of his stupidity.
No, like, you know, in movie terms, the dude deserved death.
Yeah.
She could have lived and I would have been okay with it. Like, if she lived, I think it would have been maybe less poignant. Because it's poignant the fact that, you know, they showed us the fact that she actually lied about the fact that she can't breathe for 3 minutes. All that stuff. Like, they set it up and everything, so it did pay off. But if she lived, I wouldn't be mad. If he lived, I'd be like, no, that guy needs to die. His hubris alone is that he's the ultimate sin.
Yeah,
you know, and he's also just searching for. He's doing it for money.
Yeah, and glory
and fame. Yeah.
Like, he's doing it for that reason. He's not even interested in the historical aspects of the shit. It's just footage. That's kind of a horror movie trope.
Well,
though,
and
right?
like even with presented with so much like rich background, he just sort of like scans everything and he's like, haha, creepy dolls, haha, some pictures of missing kids. I wonder what they did here. Like, didn't like pick anything up specifically to really like look at it and go over it. He was just sort of like, haha, I found a scary spot.
So
yeah,
I guess to kind of mimic what we used to do. How would you rewrite it? What would you change? What's a big thing you change? I mean, I would go with the hell thing. That's what I would do. I'd make it a doorway to hell.
I think it would have been a lot more interesting if they had taken it sort of closer to like where Paranormal Activity lives, in this like demon space of like, I don't think it needed to be a family or tied to the reality of the space that they were in at all. Like, I think Pierre was some bullshit. Like, if it was just like, we found about a thing, no one's been to this thing before. I don't know why no one's been to this thing before. Let's explore the thing. There's a demon that lives in the thing. Like, I think could have been just as effective without being as overly complicated and messy as it ended up being.
Yeah. Like you're saying, like having it be that Pierre just sits by that hot dog stand all day and waits for people to ask him if there's anything cool to see underwater nearby. It's like, what are the chances of that happening?
Right, exactly.
Often.
Apparently good, because there's a post-credits cutscene where he does it again. But it's like,
I didn't see the post-credits.
It's like a.
But he does it again.
There's another. It's like a lesbian couple, right? Or it's just two women. I don't know if they're supposed to be together, but
they were roommates. No,
there's two people that are supposed to take the place of the family again, right? Like that's the whole idea. Is they keep changing. They need two people.
I don't know.
Oh, I
know it didn't, because it didn't seem like that. Because the man and the woman hung up in the chains were the mom and dad. It wasn't, because like I thought that too. Where I was like, oh, is it going to end up with them chained up and like taking their place? And so it just seems like, I don't know. Are they eating them? What do they do with them?
They're not kids. You're supposed
they're adults.
I'm saying, they dissected kids. They did not dissect adults. So what?
What's the point?
Why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Why it's not innocent souls that you're sacrificing to your evil plot.
Yeah, Ben is not innocent.
I also wanted to say that, like, okay, so that the whole town like killed the rest of the family, but they know that Pierre got away. But then, like, he kind of how soon did he come back, and did no one recognize him? Because like
he'd have to age like 15, 20 years, right?
Right. At least. And I mean, even just like the very tiny picture of the kid or whatever, the kid version of Pierre, you were like, well, that's obviously Pierre. That's Pierre. Like he looked enough like himself, but like nobody clocked it. Yeah. He was just a guy.
He's the weak link in the story. Like you said, Sarah, like it should just have been Ben knowing about this location.
Yeah.
They show up and all the shit happens. The Pierre thing is so convoluted that it would be that if he wasn't sitting there, there'd be no movie.
I think they needed to justify a way to get them to the house. Like, oh, they have to figure and
it has to be not known about by anyone else. That's what they.
Right. And that's the thing. It's they had to figure out how to justify that plot point in the story. And as I've written scripts, Bob, I know you have too. I think Becky, you have as well, at least worked on some
I've helped.
capacity. You've helped.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're okay, we need to figure out how this thing happens. Which character introduces these two very important things. And to me, it just seemed like somebody came up with this idea and they were oh, and then what if he's related to the people who live in the house? And that's how he knows. And nobody did a second pass on the draft.
Yeah.
To be is this going to work? Does this make any fucking sense?
Right.
One thing I've learned from talking to those guys who actually are kind of geniuses for my other show, one coincidence per movie is allowed, per script is allowed, but two, it starts to break down, and anything past that doesn't, unless it's a comedy. Comedies allow coincidences. Here, the fact that they were at the same spot that Pierre is at all is one coincidence. The fact that he just decides to talk to Pierre is a second one, in my opinion. Why that guy? They were at a place where there's a ton of people. Why did Ben just decide to talk to this dude and say the weird thing? I'm just saying, it's weird to be hey, do you know of any places we could excavate around here? It's just odd to me that you would decide that guy was the right one, and he happens to be the murder family dissecting kids dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just he should have sat down at the table with them and told them about it, and I would have feel less bad about it.
Yeah. I also would have accepted that all right, so the surrounding town or whatever, the remaining people in that area, if we're talking about that there's a portal to hell in the house and they flooded it to keep it there, that perhaps every so often kids would go missing on the lake, getting drawn down. So then no, but then you turn it into sort of a conspiracy with the town where they sort of leak information that there's this cool place to scuba dive to, and then lure in stupid tourists to sacrifice in lieu of the kids. And that you don't need a murder family. You don't need Pierre to have survived and to be able to talk to all these people. I don't know. They tried to make it a little complicated.
It's weird that like you just said, Ben is set up as a guy who investigates all these places, and then you have him get to a place that he hasn't investigated at all.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he just find a thing on the internet that says some myth about this place? And it just so happens nobody goes there.
Because it's hard to get to.
Yeah, right. You have to walk 2 miles through the woods to get there. That's why people don't hang out there for summer fun.
Yeah.
That's why. It's, yeah.
I think the other way they could have taken this, and it would have been a more engaging, interesting story, is if I don't know, this is a huge thing, is if the town knew about the murder of the little girl, the daughter Sarah, and and the house was flooded to sort of cover up that tragedy or to move past it or whatever, and they go there trying to investigate the tragedy of the murder of this girl, and what they find out is she was murdered in revenge, and then they accidentally unleash the parents into the house. Yeah, would have potentially been it would have been better. You just had to choose. And what they ended up doing is not choosing. They were just they're just evil. They're rich and they're evil, and they maybe eat the children. Doesn't really say. And we're all mad at all of them, including the daughter, even though she doesn't seem to be involved. And the son, who is actually murdering people, we're just going to let him skitter out and live his best fucking life. Yeah, but I think the town conspiracy is also would have been a better justification for all of this happening.
Or they pull up to it, do the old trope of a convenience store, and they tell them about, he asks about the lake house, and they're like, don't. That, and then like, some old man that works at the convenience store tells him like, this is what happened, don't go there.
Yeah. And
then it turns out to be true or something. I don't know. Just
anything.
It's weird. The screening room is weird. Like, I don't.
Screening room / satanic church, which I think is a feature we all look for in our homes.
Yes.
Yeah, just it had like it almost reminded me of like, these are the people that are the French version of the 8mm guy, like the rich guy who just can't. He's so rich he doesn't know what to do anymore, so he just starts paying for snuff films. Like, these people were so rich in France, and they're just like, man, we're bored as fuck. Let's start carving off some kids. I don't know what to do. I'm just like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm just bored.
So boring out in the countryside.
So boring.
Like, there's fuck all to
Let's
do.
just lure
Sometimes
kids.
you got. That's why you got to live in a city. It's important to live in a city.
More
so
to do. That way you don't end up carving up people. Yeah.
And like, it was the 1980s. Like, somebody would have been on Reddit being like, yo, that family definitely killed all those fucking kids that went missing. Like, it was those people. Like this was not so far removed in history that there wouldn't have been like context and available information to be like, no, if like, oh, I'm going to Google where we're going. It says here that family was serial killers.
Yeah.
There's also
the timing of it also was like kind of, I mean, like I figured it out once. It was like, oh, that kid's Pierre or whatever, so it had to have been about this time period. But like the way that Sarah was dressed, the way that the parents were dressed seemed really old timey. It didn't seem like the fucking 80s. And the way the villagers were dressed at the end when they like
France,
came to
though. Maybe that's
but
the
it's
difference.
still the 80s still happened in France. Like they still had windbreakers and shit. Like,
oh man, if the family was wearing like Alf shirts and shit, that would have been amazing. You know what I mean? Like, they had like 80s aesthetic, but they did the same stuff.
Yeah,
that would be so good.
Right. I feel like the 1984, which happens very early in the beginning, like he's like Googling. It's when he's on Wikipedia.
Okay.
And he says, oh, in 1984, a bunch of kids went missing, or like something stupid.
God, imagine if like the dad had like a Ghostbusters shirt. And you just see him swimming that'd still be funny. Yeah.
I think it was just added in really late to justify Pierre being the missing kid. Like,
yeah.
Because there's no reason for it to have been the 80s instead of the 40s, which is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Like, where was their TV and phone and shit? I
think not so much this movie, but isn't it more inherently scary? We are afraid of older things, right? Like, because the more distance there is between us and something, the more scarier, the more unknown it is. Something from the 1905 is scarier than something from 1985.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want those racist ass ghosts around.
Right, yeah, they're super probably racist and terrible. Like, yeah. And it's just more unknown. They didn't have society like we have it. You know what I mean? Like, the farther you go back, the less society there is, you know?
Yeah, I feel like millennial ghosts are probably just like chill and they just want to watch whatever I'm binge watching on TV with me.
Right. Yeah. They'd be terrible ghosts. Okay. Just like,
they're terrible ghosts. They're just really sleepy, man.
Like we could haunt you, but whatever. Like, what's the point? What's the end game here?
Exactly. What is the point?
What is the point?
They're still recovering from their burnout.
What is the point of any of this? I was like, with demons and ghosts, I'm always like, do they know that there's really no good end game to this? It's kind of like you're wasting your time until eternity ends.
Yeah. Which is why I like a story where it's like, okay, fucking Paranormal Activity, right? Like, this demon is trying to become corporeal through these witches. This is a linear path.
Right.
Like, there is an end game for this entity. Become corporeal, eat souls.
Yeah.
Like, Hereditary, another one that has like an end game of the paranormal behavior. But ghosts, like, just meandering for all eternity is a little bit sad.
Also, what do they do to these people? Do they, like you said, do they eat them?
Yeah, what do they do with the bodies?
Do they put them somewhere in the house?
I mean, we didn't see any other bodies down there. Like,
yeah, I don't know what, like, they're coming after. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's times in movies where I'm like, all right, there's a thing chasing the person. Like, when they grab you, what happens next? Do they start biting you? Do they absorb you? Is it like Ghostbusters where like the dogs like possess you? Like what is happening when they actually get to you? In this movie,
stab you.
Like, I was like, in this movie, I guess they're just stabbing at you. I was like, all right, that's
well, like when the guy when
just
Ben
really miss stabbing.
Yeah, they like dissecting and stabbing.
They just want to cut. They just want to cut.
So that means, but if that's what they do, you could fight back.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Becky?
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say when Ben was like possessed, we were like, oh, that's what's gonna, like you were saying in the beginning, it was like it seemed like they were trying to make it like then so that they can come out of the house and like do more murder, and then that would explain why there was no remaining bodies in the house, because like maybe they have them go out and kill in the town or whatever and then get arrested or whatever. Like that also could have been a better.
You know what would be insane if like they possessed them and then they left the house and their YouTube channel kept going, but it was like the family in their bodies. Yeah. And that like the YouTube channel was like them doing strange experiments and shit. That's like the sequel though. Like I don't know how long YouTube would even let that up. But you know what I mean? Like they like become them.
Yeah.
And it would be really interesting to see that in like, oh yes, Greenlight. Let's play Greenlight. The sequel to this being like, because I feel like it was implied that this family was very wealthy and like,
yeah,
because of all of the Satan worshiping that was happening in their life. So if then the parents possessed this young engaged couple who has a YouTube channel and suddenly their YouTube channel is like insanely popular and they're going to famous like satanic worship sites and then encouraging their followers to also go there and then like
and chop them
unwillingly unknowingly luring children to haunted places where demons can feast on their souls.
That's nuts.
That's a great sequel. That would have ruled.
Thank you.
Yeah, that feels like they become like superstars or something. Yeah, and then they just have this influence. They have real influence. Through Satan, too. They're using the power of Satan to influence their views on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
All of a sudden has nothing to do with water or deep houses or anything. It's just
it's just about Satan and YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube, Satan, YouTube. How about this? The name of the sequel is The Deep House, Sinfluencers.
It's so gonna happen. I feel like you just spoke it into existence.
Yeah, it just needs to. And it's their whole way. It's that they create a factory that they can get kids to strange places and carve them up.
I love that.
That's pretty good.
I guess. I don't know what do you do with that movie though? What's the end of that movie? Just well, we carved enough kids up. I think we should quit. I don't know. Satan said it's enough.
I mean, if you're trying to build out a franchise, you would have them like find another couple to like possess after a certain amount of time, because eventually they're going to get shut down and caught, right? And then like have to go to trial. So like, yeah, they would find another couple influencer like set.
And Pierre would probably be involved too. Like he would be part of the
he would
YouTube
probably
channel.
try. He would be their camera guy.
Yeah. Like Pierre is like intimately part of the YouTube channel too.
Yeah.
And he starts having and he starts like having sex with the one, because like here was like a sexual thing with him and her or something in the movie, kind of like him staring at her. I was like, like have some weird ass shit where like the mom possesses her and then they start doing, like weird stuff. It's like, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Do we have anything left to say about the Deep House? I think that's the question.
It's one of those, you have to watch it to understand it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to appreciate it if you don't see it, because it's just so stupid. But I love it so much.
I wouldn't say
because it's so stupid.
I'll say that.
No, it's very entertaining.
It's entertaining. Yeah. It's not boring.
And short. It's very short. It's like maybe an hour and a half.
Once they hit the house, it goes pretty bad pretty quick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that if you can get through them just saying like the dumbest shit while they're just around this house, like, oh, Let's go deeper. Like, how do we get out? When she follows the fish.
Equal maximum likes.
just 5 more minutes. Let's look at just one more room. Wait, one more room.
When the plan was to follow the fish to see where the fish goes out, and then he's like, wait, we're going to go back down there? She's like, well, the fish is getting out somehow. I was like, come on. No, don't do that. Like, if you're in that situation, both of you, you're in that situation, and brick walls have appeared where they were not before, do you honestly think going down to the hell basement is probably the best move we got?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's not a good decision.
Like,
you put the crucifix back, if anything.
Oh, you put the crucifix.
The crucifix goes back.
You never touch it in the first fucking place.
But you put it
back. If you have,
I'm pretty sure they couldn't
put all those bodies in there. They should have just shut the door and put it fucking
I'm pretty
back.
sure the family would even, it might have actually made the house open up again. Like, because the family, like, it was like a barrier, they couldn't cross. Their influence might not be able to cross the crucifix.
Yeah.
Also, this movie is extremely Judeo-Christian because that actually works. Like, the movie's admitting, it's like, oh yeah, Catholicism is the right thing. It's the church.
A Christ crossbar.
Yeah, like, that was a Catholic, I was raised Catholic, that was a Catholic church crucifix that hangs in an actual church.
Fucking huge. Like, that was
massive.
From a church.
Yeah.
And it was actually working. So I just find that interesting that the movie's theology was like, no, it's Catholicism is 100% right. Which is weird because Catholicism is also like, their reputation with kids. It's not great. Versus this family's reputation with kids, also not great.
Also not great. There's a lot of parallels here.
Well, yeah, a little bit of
this movie is deeper than we thought, perhaps.
Yeah, I think you've uncovered the real conspiracy of the Deep House.
Well,
which is the real Deep House is the Vatican, and they were funding this movie.
You got to think if it was. I imagine if they were wealthy to do people in France in the 1980s, they probably told people they were Catholic. Like they were probably they probably were saying they were Catholic while also torturing kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I would have watched a movie about this weird serial killing family in the 1980s, 40s in France.
Before the flood.
Yeah.
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 The Deep House before the flood.
The house.
The Deep House, shallow beginnings.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
But that's
I also have 2 more dumb titles. I don't have pitches, but I have 2 more dumb titles, which is the Deep House, Deeper, and then lastly the High House. Just as a
that sounds like a college frat movie where they get high all the time.
It's just you just have Method Man and Red Man.
That's how you make the Deep House truly great. Is instead of the couple, it's Method Man and Red Man. Now that's a movie that goes down in history right there.
I mean, because if you look back at it, How High does involve ghosts.
It's like a How High sequel that is the Deep House. Where they become YouTube
It's canonical, yeah.
They become hubris. They become just like really fortune and glory searching YouTubers and Method Man and Red Man.
I just think they do it for fun.
You know what? I don't think they would. I think you'd have to change their characters too much from How High.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Because I don't think those characters would be like, they'd be like, let's get the fuck out of here. Like it's
not this house.
Yeah. That's when you make movies like this, you need certain types of people to be the characters because
because we're not doing this. I don't know anyone who would do this.
No.
Yeah it's just that like most humans would go nope no. I mean, just telling me to swim down to go inside of a house, I'd be like, do you know that thing could fucking collapse? I'm not doing it.
Trapped.
Yeah, it's not even ghosts and shit. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not even ghosts. Like, what are you scared of demons? No, it's the fucking house underwater. I'm not going there.
I think it's really funny that anyone assumes that like I can support the weight of a scuba tank on my back
right
for that amount of time. It was like, no, thank you. I am in my mid-30s and I have degenerative disc disease in my lumbar.
I mean, my back hurts right now, so yeah, it's not happening.
It's not happening.
Yeah, it's just fucking over. I'm not. Also, they had to walk 2 miles with all that gear from the car.
No, that's why I would have been out.
I know. I would be like, oh, it's 2 miles?
Oh, I got to hike for 2 miles carrying an entire scuba set and a fucking drum. No.
It's over. I'm sorry that you're whatever. That guy would be so pissed. He'd be like, what do you mean you're not going to walk to the That's just 2 miles. Like, dude, we got all this fucking equipment. What are you talking about?
Okay,
and there was not a path. There was not a path either. It was just in the woods and shit. So, like, no.
Like, Pierre, you're
survival of the laziest. Like, that is really what all you need to survive this movie is don't do things. And don't go outside.
I believe I haven't listened to the Now Slaying episodes in forever, but I believe I've always said, like, it's a Shaggy and Scooby thing. Shaggy and Scooby don't want to go anywhere that they go.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point. And they would not do this.
No.
They would only be dragged in there because Fred and Velma had like a clue that said the answer was in the deep house. And they'd be like, they would like reluctantly go in there. But if it was just the two of them, they would never even go ghost hunting. They wouldn't care.
No.
They'd be alive forever.
No. They would just, they're making snacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Shaggy and Scooby were right. That's I got to make that a T-shirt.
Yeah,
because
please do.
Yeah, because that's the truth. Is they were always right, were they not? They're like, don't fuck. They don't fuck around, and they don't want to find out.
No.
You know? Yeah. Well, okay. I think that's a sufficient review of the Deep House, right?
Yeah.
Do we used to end the episodes with anything
more than it deserved?
Specific?
We used to end with the pitches for the sequels.
Sequels. But in general, this was fun.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen you guys in forever.
Yeah, this was
nice.
Now
that I live in a different city. So.
Yeah. So this was nice. It was also just nice to talk about a movie again. I really did enjoy Now Slaying when it existed. I wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's all good memories, like.
Well, it's all anything. I always say almost anything from like not 2020 and forward is good memories now. But that's just me. Yeah,
but before times.
The before times are generally I only remember the good things because they were never as bad as the bad things now. So for me,
in a life where I'm very relieved to be out of like my soul contracts with a lot of things. Like, glad I don't have to keep doing that. Like, this podcast is genuinely one of the things I do really miss doing is just because it's like, it was never really for anyone but us, I think. And that was kind of the joy of it. It's like it never needed to be anything more.
There's a slight pressure that comes with knowing people are listening. I'll say that now. I have this show, the Shrimp Night, I don't know if anyone really listens to it besides my friends. Even then, I don't think anyone does. They do sometimes. But I know that one show I do, people listen to, and there is a bit of a pressure to it. I can feel it, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but like, I feel like voracious in the amount of horror content that I consume. And I'm so alone in my life now. Nobody else watches it other than like me and Alex. So it feels really good to be like, I found the fucking weirdest, dumbest, best, worst movie. Please watch this fucking insane French, but not French film that is a Blumhouse, but not a Blumhouse movie. That's my next podcast, though, is just reviewing Blumhouse movies.
The one movie that I wanted to review that I didn't ever have the chance was Halloween Kills, which is a Blumhouse movie. Because I don't think I've ever laughed so hard during a Halloween movie. And now, like, some of the stuff they're doing lately, I'm just like, it is fucking hilarious.
We watched them back to back. I had not seen either of the two remakes. And I thought the first one was, like, interesting. And, like, I really liked where they took Laurie Strode. And then the second one was insane.
Yeah, second one's so nuts. Did you see these, Becky?
Insane.
Have you seen them?
I think so. I saw the more recent Jamie Lee Curtis one from like
That's what we're talking about.
Years ago.
2018?
Maybe? Yeah.
2018 was, it's Halloween 2018.
With like her and her daughter and the granddaughter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you watch the sequel to that?
It came out this
year.
No, I have not seen that one yet.
I can't even explain it. It's so nuts.
The pandemic hits us all differently.
It hits us differently. But let me say this. I know that I'm trying to wrap up, but I'll say this just because I want to say it to Sarah. Or you've seen it too. I really don't like Halloween 2018, and the reason is, and I want to see if you guys respond to this reasoning, because I haven't talked about it publicly really, but the reason I don't like that movie is because it shouldn't. Number one, you can tell it's written by dudes, because the whole movie is basically Michael won. They erased all the sequels. She spent her whole life neglecting her family and doing all this stuff. I was like, the fact that he didn't kill her doesn't matter. He won. He haunted her nightmares and daytime waking nightmares constantly for 40 years. Michael had the power the entire time. She never got away from him because of one night. I was like, it's not really a positive story. And then the moral at the end is, oh, mom was right to do all that.
Yeah.
It's really a badly written movie. I don't know what Danny McBride and David Gordon Green are thinking, but it's obviously also so written by dudes like have never been a victim. It's just like, that's what bothers me about that movie. I was like, he won. If he kills her now, it doesn't matter. She's been dead since the 70s. The woman she would have been died then because he turned her into this thing.
Right.
Also, her plan sucks ass.
Yeah.
For all the stuff she does, her plan is such a pile of shit. I can't even believe it, But, I mean, the kills are cool.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I do understand what you're saying.
He won. He totally won. He could have been dead like 10 years ago, and he's still winning. You know what I mean? Like, her life is gone. She didn't live. He killed Laurie Strode that would have been. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't understand that. But Halloween Kills I liked more because it's so nuts that nothing matters anymore. it's
the craziest shit. It's so wild. Yeah. Like the first one is a linear story, and the second one is just like, what the fuck is happening? And it starts off bananas, and it just gets fucking more bananas.
Evil dies tonight. Yeah, right. It's just like,
oh my god.
Yeah, Becky, it's this whole. It's trying to like the townspeople who have been victims of his. Yet there's no sequels. It's just the first movie, and 2018. Okay. But they're trying to thematically turn Michael Myers into like the personification of evil in the movie for the town. And it's super odd the way they go about it. Like the town turns into a mob, and and Anthony Michael Hall he's given 150%.
Oh my god!
His performance is psychotically committed. It's hilarious, and it's like him trying to convince the town that Michael is like living evil and stuff. And it's just, I don't even know how to. You got to see it. You have to watch it because it's.
It's bananas.
It's bananas.
Where is it?
I think it was on Peacock when I watched it. It was on Peacock.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay. It's probably available more places now that it's like past.
It's a direct sequel too. It starts when the last movie ends.
Which I really appreciated because that's true for Halloween 1 and 2, the originals as well.
Yeah.
It follows that linear. It is there's always been that aspect to the Halloween movies that Michael is not he's not just human, he's like more than human. Yeah. He is evil. You
have to be what he goes through in the sequel.
And everything, like the fact that he can't die properly. But even when you look at Halloween as a closed unit, the original one, that's what Dr. What's-His-Face says. What's his name?
Loomis.
Dr. Loomis.
Yeah.
Is that what he realized trying to treat Michael is that you can't treat Michael because Michael's not a person. He's just pure evil. There's nothing there. He has no soul.
That's what Rob Zombie changed, right?
That's what Rob Zombie changed, and everybody really hated. And then this one, I don't know. I think that there are ways that they could have gone about being like, she's so affected by this happening that it's like made her a shell of a person. I think you're right, though. I think in the sense of like making her a drunk, making her a bad mom, making her checked out of her kid's life, like all of the choices that she made. But like, I do think that like having a character be like, nope, you all are stupid. You all have your guard down. You shouldn't have your fucking guard down. Like, I'm not crazy. I'm right. Like that aspect of it, of
it's cool. I'm not saying there isn't something cool there, but like, she should have. I don't know. I don't like the movie
Lady
saying she was right. I wish her. How's this? How's this? Her plan should have been way better.
Her plan should have been so much better.
For all the sacrifices she made, her plan was really stupid. I was like,
she gave up a whole relationship with her daughter, and
for that house that barely worked,
a janky ass house.
I was like, she could have done more. Why even have a house? I was like, you want to lure him into an open space and hit him with a bazooka? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like, I don't understand.
You want him to fall into a tiger pit.
Yeah,
sharpen sticks, and then you want to set that shit on fire.
They're like,
and shoot into it. Like, there's so much else.
You forsook your family for this house that sucks. Like, he has to do so many very specific things for it to work. It
was a little Home Alone-y.
Yeah. I don't know.
For sure. But it would have been really cool to see Lori like be like, all right, not only am I a badass lady assassin, I've turned every woman in my life into a badass team of lady assassins.
Yeah.
We're gonna take your ass.
I don't know. I just don't like the fact that I don't like the fact that her whole life was ruined, because to me, it said whatever happens in this movie doesn't matter.
Yeah, I
was like, she could die. She doesn't even really care. She just wants him to die. I was like, she's already lost.
It's a sequel that should have been made way closer to the original one coming out, and I think that's the sadness of it.
It also has the gravitas of like this. All this Halloween sequels actually happened. Like the movie thinks the sequels happened, but it's saying they didn't. Like this was one night of her life in the 70s. It was bad. Not saying it wasn't. But I don't know if what happened to her in Halloween would have mentally caused her to be like she is for the next 40 years.
Yeah. If it was like 5 years out of that,
I could believe it
happening.
But 40 years of nothing happening after that one night, I'm like, man,
I mean, he did really kill a lot of people in her life, in front of her.
I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. It's just I need more of it. I think I need more trauma.
Gotta walk a mile in their shoes, Bob. All right, we're gonna send a serial killer to your house.
You know what?
We're just gonna start murdering people.
Don't retcon the sequels.
Move
I think
to another country.
I think if they did,
you should have
just moved to South America and lived out in the fucking forest
and have a family there.
Jungle. Yeah, just lived a life.
Michael can't. He's
the fact that she never left
he doesn't have GPS on her.
Yeah, what are you just staying there for? Like, it just seemed all so dumb.
Move to France.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't mean to turn it into a Halloween thing, but I wanted you guys to hear my rant on that because it just annoys me that there's a whole weird victimhood thing. It just doesn't vibe with me. I don't know.
I will always Zoom with you guys and talk about spooky movies. I'm happy to do that, even not for a podcast, just for like fun.
That's a plan. But I think that's a good place to end on our my rants about Halloween out of nowhere. Thank you so much, guys, for doing this. I'm really happy that we got let this happen. So thank you. And you're doing it for me.
You're welcome.
Because I'm the idiot that wanted to, dig up the past and ask why it all failed. I'm gonna keep doing it too. So thank you. Do you guys have anything? I mean, I know you basically said you don't want to do it, you create shit anymore. But do you have anything you want to point people to? Plugs, and if you have anything.
Sure. I'm in Infinite Pizza. We're on Bandcamp and also Spotify. And we're playing a show this coming Friday. I don't know when this is going to be put up, but
it should be up.
Yeah, so this coming Friday, we're playing Saint Thratrix Day.
Okay, nice.
Which is just a bunch of thrash bands.
Okay. Sarah, do you have anything?
I'm on Instagram, but it's private. I don't update my Facebook anymore. You can text me if you want to. I do. I do read Facebook Messenger, but no, in terms of creative projects, no, not until I get these podcasts rolling around in my head out. But yeah, if you just need a really good idea, hit me up.
Hit you up on your private Instagram. All right. That's everything. All right, guys. I'm going to say bye.
Bye, guys.